Thank you. Since I've been in the legislature, this issue has been one of my highest priorities. When I was elected in 2006 and the 2007 session, one of the first things we worked with other folks and we put together something called the Common Good Caucus. And then the Common Good Caucus, through legislation, evolved into the Economic Opportunity Poverty Reduction Task Force. And I think we have been reasonably successful in elevating this issue in the legislature and getting some bipartisan cooperation on specific solutions to a very complex problem. A couple of things that I think are critical to address the gap that was spoken about in the question. First of all, we need to continue to emphasize locally and statewide primary job creation. We know that primary jobs typically pay higher wages, and then of course there's economic activity that spins off from there, and you have the various secondary jobs. There are a lot of things that the state can do to provide public resources to leverage for the private sector to be able to create these primary jobs. And frankly, when I attend meetings like the annual meeting of the Northern Colorado Economic Development Corporation, and they go through a list of companies that are actually hiring folks, I think we must be doing something right. A second thing is, we know that not every employer, especially small business people, are going to be able to pay $25 an hour, $30 an hour, and so forth. And so one of the things we need to do, I think, is in the design of our communities. One term for that is called livable communities. By creating livable communities, you can lower costs like transportation costs. Today, at the release of the data, the poverty data for Larimer County, we learned from the United Way person that transportation costs are very significant. So how do we lower costs for people? And that gets into the issue of work supports. We know that child care is expensive. We know that health care is expensive. We know that housing is expensive. So I think there's a way to collaborate with local community efforts to make those work supports available to individuals and families. Another thing is to invest in best practices. We know there are things out there that work. For example, the nurse family visitation program. That works because we have the research that shows that it works. Investing in early childhood, investing in those kinds of relationship things will ultimately help families to move out of poverty and address the gap. Healthcare was mentioned. I think that's one of the most expensive things that families are dealing with, and small businesses. So if we can improve the value, if we can improve healthcare finance and delivery, that is a significant thing. So there are very specific things that we can do to help address this gap. And at the end, I'll talk a little bit about income inequality in this country.